Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Gore column in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out news. In this case, we got Marshall Gunter, CEO of Datametrex, trades on the venture under DM on the US, DTMXF, and for our friends in Europe, D4G. In this case, it's multiple Beyond the Press Releases because he's got a few that's come out. For those of you new to the story, you can basically break down Datametrex into two different divisions. First, the core, where it's founded. Artificial intelligence, focused on social media discovery and fake news detection. That's generalizing it, but you get an idea. Clients in there have included the Canadian federal government, U.S. Air Force, and Lotte, which is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate out of South Korea. And they've done some incredible work there in terms of monitoring and looking for disinformation campaigns, and it just keeps getting better. On the flip side, because of security clearance they had all these years with these levels of governments and major corporations, when the pandemic broke out last year, they're ideally positioned by happenstance to have the security clearances necessary in both countries, Canada and South Korea, to immediately start importing the South Korean gold standard COVID-19 test. And that's because the Canadian government came calling. As a result of that, they've signed multiple multi-million-dollar COVID-19 test kit supply agreements with mining companies, a $20 million agreement with the television film industry, education institutions. So both sides have been going great. Here to catch up on, latest acquisition news and all sorts of stuff. Marshall, welcome back.
Good to be back, George.
Okay, great to have you. How have you been? It's been a while since we spoke.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We're, things are moving along with both the COVID side and the AI side, and I think it's time we talk about it a little bit. The companies, we're moving again breakneck speed as usual, which doesn't stop. As far as the COVID side is concerned, we're definitively going to have our best quarter we've had in Q1 this year, and we'll have those numbers out as soon as possible to everybody. So
when does that quarter end, Marshall? Are you guys on calendar? Does it end March? Is it end of March?
Yeah, it's into March. So, you can probably expect those Q1 numbers in May, after the audits are done. So that's probably about right. Again, it's done by a third-party company, so I can't say it's going to be May 3rd. I can't give you an exact date, but
typically 45 to 60 days. But the most important thing is you're going to have your best Q1 ever. Sounds like.
Oh yeah, we've got an amazing Q1 lined up here. The COVID business is still going strong. We're adding additional properties, every single week it seems, and branching out with companies that we haven't worked with yet that are coming to us because we've done such a good job, and the news is getting around that we're doing really well. So I'm really excited about the future of the COVID on there. But for this one, I wanted to talk a little more about the AI.
Yeah.
Right. The COVID, COVID is expanding. The production companies are there. The mining companies are still there. It's all going well. It's going to be our best quarter. But we've been really looking at the AI side of things now too. So
because that's your core competency. That's where you're going to grow. The COVID-19 test you guys are really good at, but it's not as if you came into Datametrex wanting to be a pharmaceutical import company next decade. Artificial intelligence is what's going to dominate the next 2 decades, right? That's your core.
That's absolutely right. AI is going to be the biggest tech out there for, I think decades to come. It's going to pervade life. Like it's almost everywhere now and people don't know it, but it's going to be directly in your face really soon. And that is our core competency. Like you said earlier in the introduction, we took on the COVID work, and we've grown it into a really good business. That being said, AI is the long-term health of the company. COVID will eventually stop. Artificial intelligence is not going to stop. It's only going
to accelerate and grow by magnitude.
Huge magnitudes of AI. So one of the things we've been doing is looking at how to incorporate and shore up different technologies in our portfolio. So we just signed an LOI, that's out there to acquire Perspectum drone inspection services.
Yeah, that's a predictive analytics AI company that's focused on environmental and safety predictive analysis. Explain to us how that fits in, because I was trying to figure out Is it drones? Is it the environmental side? How's it fit into Datametrex' big plan?
All right, so let me explain what the company does, and then I'm going to explain exactly how it fits in.
All
So
right.
the company runs a drone service up and down pipelines and stuff that can, quantify leaks, because there's right now companies are required to report like leak or no leak, but there's new regulations coming in that are going to, you're going to have to quantify the leak, right? You're going to have to say it's a leak of this size or this magnitude. And what their drones do is fly up and down the pipelines, where previously you had to put people out there in all kinds of bad weather and everything else. You just fly the drone up and down and it'll look for the leaks and it can quantify it, right? That's the idea. And they're already generating revenue. This is already a running established business. So that's a no-brainer as far as that's concerned with the drone. But here's what's more interesting, and here's what people don't see. The real interesting piece of this is not the drone. That's a good business, don't get me wrong. But the real interesting piece is the computer vision portion of it that they do. Now, that is not something we have in our current portfolio. It is something that we are asked about a lot. So there is a huge market for computer vision products, both in the public sector and in the private sector. And that's exactly what this company centers around.
Computer vision connected with AI.
That's right. So the drone's taking pictures, it's filming video, and then their algorithms and their artificial intelligence networks can go in and quantify these gas leaks based on, all kinds of different, spectrums that they're looking at. They're looking at infrared, they're looking at X-ray spectrums, different things like that. That coupled with our current stack will give us the ability to operate on video, on photographs, and move beyond the realm of predictive analytics in text fields and text data and things of that nature. So now you're going to be able to add in movies, videos, things of that, and this is huge for us. This is gigantic.
What kind of interest have you guys had when you said you've had requests? You've said you've had a lot of requests for visual driven AI. What kind of industries? I'm not asking for specific companies, but or applications have you received interest from?
Well, we've always got applications coming from the public sector around this. So, the defense industry is very invested in computer vision work, very invested. And they really want to know what we can do. Some of our predictive algorithms they've used to, really good effect. They want to be able to take those predictive algorithms and run them against, video, right? As opposed to just, text box. So they want us to take that and apply it to video. On the private sector side, a lot of these, we work a lot in social media. This opens up stuff like YouTube, or it opens up videos that are coming down off, say Facebook and Reddit and things of this nature. Because right now you can operate on the text and on the captions and on all those other things, but you can't operate on the video itself, right?
Would this be really handy, Marshall, in live Facebook videos where someone is broadcasting live about, I don't know, maybe a protest going on or some kind of event, and as a result, potentially either now or in the future, your technology could scan that video and figure out if this event's going to turn into something violent or if it's just a peaceful protest with a lot of signs and chanting and so on and so forth. Is that where it'd be really valuable?
That's one application of it, yeah. Other applications are, let's say, you spot a boat. AI can already identify that. It's already done. They can say, this is a boat, this is a plane, this is a cat, this is a dog. That's pretty basic stuff. But what it can't do is like say, let's take these boats and say, you spot boat A, or and then you find it in another video, the same boat. Is this the same boat, and why? Why is this boat here and now it's over there? Or why are these people here and now they're over there? Or these people went into a warehouse and from this door, which door are they going to exit from based upon, past traffic patterns and things of this nature? All kinds of predictive algorithms that you can do with this stuff. You can also use video, we can use some of our classification tools to look into the video itself and study the nature of the video. Like, are people disturbed in it? Are they vexed? Is it, like you said, is it peaceful? Is it turning violent? Are people getting more vexated? Is it escalating? These types of things are all things that we can look at now, that if we can operate on video, this becomes possible, because we can take our existing algorithms and apply them to the video if we can break the video down.
And that's your algorithms actually complement whatever Perspectum's got, because I'm assuming Perspectum's really focused on the pipeline and around that, whereas you can then add DM's artificial intelligence, say, all right, instead of just having 100 police officers, National Guard around a protest, you'll have those, but we can also scan this entire audience and through our AI figure out what the nature of this protest is right now and where it's going.
Yeah, stuff like that, it will all become possible, and that's exactly where we're going with this. And on the on the private sector side, they're looking for a lot of the same things. Like, airports have been looking for ways to do predictive traffic movement, right, without having to get a bunch of humans involved. What is the best way to route planes around your airport on the ground? They need the vision to be able to do that. They've got to see where they are. They've got to be able to track it. There's all kinds of applications. We've been approached by several cities for this exact same problem. Can you take the feeds from our traffic cameras and build and show us what is the best way to reroute traffic based on X, Y, or Z, right? The concept of the smart city, involves things like this. So this opens up just huge swaths of different things we can take a look at now. And that's what the real gold is in this, right? Is that computer vision technology, which is just outstanding.
And pulling back just a little bit to kind of repeat what you said earlier, but maybe emphasize it. Artificial intelligence is going to impact pretty much every single facet of our lives. And this isn't future, Jetsons. This is the next 12 months, 3-4 years, 10 years. It's how big is artificial intelligence going to get, and which will then, confirms why Datametrex is going in the direction it's going, which is the AI side.
That's right. The AI is getting just larger and larger. I mean, I think the one thing that's going to impact people the most, that most people don't really think about it as AI, are the self-driving vehicles, right? Those are out now. They're being tested. Trucks are already driving all around the United States, delivering goods by themselves, no drivers, no nothing. This is happening now. These are the types of applications that computer vision can impact. So, we'll be in that. We're not going to probably be in the truck driving business anytime soon, but we will be playing in the same sandbox as those guys. And that's important. You're going to see this. AI is just going to permeate everything.
I'm already way ahead of you in terms of I'm way past autonomous cars, and I'm into autonomous flying vehicles.
That's next. That's actually,
and a lot of people think that's not happening, but it's happening right now. And by 2024, 2025, you're in Montreal, I'm in Toronto. We're going to be seeing these, right?
That's right. No, they're already being done now. There's companies doing it in California. There's companies doing it in Australia. There's a big company doing it. And that's the next wave. It's not just going to be, your Tesla that drives around. You're going to go outside and there's going to be some helicopter type thing that just picks you up and goes and drops you off somewhere.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. And that's why I love where DM is positioned right now.
That's it. And so we're not just looking at that particular company there. We're looking at some other companies too. And we're going to have some more news around that. But we're also excited where this can go, on the medical side, right? So we've got our feet in two areas now. They got one foot in the medical side, and we've got another foot in the AI side. But what could we do? How do we put the two of them together? Because medical AI is going to be massive. In fact, the military is already using this type of stuff to do remote diagnosis and things like that. And we think that, combined with the computer vision, that there is going to be a really good play in, say, telehealth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Telehealth is going to is starting to boom. That's why we brought in Concierge Medical for the telehealth. Now we're going to pick up the pieces we need to take that Concierge Medical, combine it in with the rest of these properties, and then produce something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. And so we are looking at a few other pieces right now. We'll have news on that, within the next few weeks, on how that's going to break down. But, it is a really, like I said, this is our core business. This is what's going to make us, keep us profitable for 10, 20, maybe even longer. And that's what we're really doing here, is we're taking what we did with the COVID. We made a lot of money with the COVID, and now let's take some of that and accelerate the AI.
And on the AI medical side, I foresee a future. Let me run it by you because people want to hear it from you rather than me. But let me lay it out there that I foresee a future is not too far down the road. Up until we spoke today, the first vision I saw was these wearables that we're all have are going to go way beyond what we have today. They're going to have sensors on our skin, and they'll know if in advance, hey, George, I think might have a heart attack in the next 30 minutes, which triggers a drone to fly to my house to provide first aid or bring in a first responder. But now you're going to incorporate video into that side. So we're potentially looking at a situation where that video can be incorporated into the mirrors of a home of an elderly person. Every morning when they wake up, they look in the mirror, and through this video technology, artificial intelligence will be able to gauge the state of that person's health, as opposed to wait until they fall down, then try getting a doctor there in time. Am I off there? Is that Jetson's world, or is that where you see the world going too?
No, that's where it's going now. The research into the wearables is happening now, like as we speak. It's been ongoing for a while now. So there are artificial intelligence companies out there doing exactly what you said, gathering data through people on wearables, whether they have, like, say, epilepsy, and they're trying to predict, when their next attack's going to be, or, things of this nature. Do they have diabetes? Is something going wrong? That's happening now. You combine that with a lot of the video technology that's coming out now, and it gives you, it doesn't just, it's not one or the other. It forms a more holistic picture, right? And that's what you're really after. So yeah, the wearables thing, you're spot on. This is going to be out within the next 12 to 24 months. No doubt about it. No, it's right there. Like, there's even testing going on in Toronto right now around this. But the video is a little more complex, but it's what's coming next, right? This is the next one. I mean, think of the mountains of data. What could we have done with all the Zoom data that's been produced over the past 12 months?
Imagine, right? Imagine that.
They're sitting on a gold mine. I don't know if they know it or not. But yeah, that's where all this is going. We're still committed to that AI, and we're still going to be bringing new products to the table, enhancing our old products, and building that side of the company.
And last but not least, want to quickly kind of run by you Ronin blockchain just for a second. I know you guys talked about spinning it out potentially, because it does have, maybe give everyone a 6-second overview there about what's going on at Ronin, because you did go through an evaluation, and you guys determined that, yeah, it has value. We think we want to spin this out. Where did you see the value? When do you think you might be spinning it out?
Well, that's in process right now. And like, as soon as it becomes material, that information will be put into the public sphere as usual. Where the value is in this is, I mean, Bitcoin in particular, and cryptocurrency in general, is pretty hot right now. I mean, I think Bitcoin was up past $50,000 the other day.
Past 60
now. Yeah, it's insane. And that, the world of, I'm going to give you a word. I don't know if everybody knows what it is, but the world of decentralized financing, which is what Bitcoin addresses, looks like it's very possibly going to be maybe the currency of the future. Don't know, we'll see, but it certainly has a good foothold. So seeing this and seeing how hot it is, it's a good time to spin Ronin out. Like, let's get some value out of this, and not just let it sit there and depreciate, which is what it's been doing. So it'll be, we'll have news on that shortly. We've got some good people heading that up, and as soon as, like I said, as soon as we've got something material to say about that, I'll put it out there.
And last but not least, Marshall, the company is moving quickly now. in terms of organic growth, M&A growth, and it's moving quickly in areas that aren't the easiest. The great thing is they're explosive. AI is just explosive in its entirety, but in the specific applications that you're talking about, which is great for shareholders. But on the flip side, it's hard for them to always keep up with that and where you're at. So you'll be, maybe something to talk about here for a second is you and the company are planning to maybe switch some of that communications to your verified forum on Agoracom, where you'll be able to pop in a couple of times a week, share information, share knowledge with your investors. Talk to us about why you think that's important.
Well, I think that's important because I think we're at the stage where, we need to be getting this information out there a little more quickly, because it's not always obvious, right? I don't think, the average person is going to put together a drone company acquisition with video technology, right? Because it's non-obvious, right? I get it. And so we need to be out there clarifying these things as we're going along so people can see what we're doing.
Right.
And it's important to be transparent. So I think this is going to be a good way of going about that. And, like I said, we'll be on there a couple times a week so we can answer a few questions here and there, pop in some knowledge, make sure everybody knows what we're doing as we're doing it.
Well, as a shareholder, appreciate it, because even for me, look, I'm a student of AI and I'm definitely a student of Datametrex, but it's not always 100% clear, sometimes connecting the dots. So having you guys in there a couple of times a week, just helping connect dots, sprinkling knowledge, information, changes everything completely. And we're looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, Marshall. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, George. It's always a pleasure.
For everyone at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. To Marshall Gunter, he's CEO of Datametrex AI, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange on the stock symbol DM. For our friends in the US, DTMXF, and for our friends in Europe on D4G on Frankfurt. For those of you new, you got to do your due diligence. We know that there's a lot to absorb here in what DM's doing, because they're in the AI business, right? And that's not something it's not widgets, it's not mining where you just put a hole in the ground and see how much gold we can take out. There's a lot more to understand. So we've helped you get to the profile page for Datametrex. Take a look there where we've laid everything else out in the story out in layman's terms. And then from there, hop over the Datametrex site. You can see the address even now over Marshall's head there in the graphic. Get over there, do due diligence, because artificial intelligence is coming. It's going to be one of the monster biggest paradigm shifts we've ever seen in our lives. And you got to find out for yourselves if Datametrex is going to be a winner in that space. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.